Hi, everybody. It's Monday, May 11th, and it's about 3 in the afternoon. So I'm making the video for today, and it's about take a stand for argument. So I was really glad to see all you guys this morning in Zoom, the ones that made it, and the others that went ahead and signed in for the attendance. And I guess you can sign in anywhere from 8 a.m. to 12. So I wanted to make that statement and make sure I corrected it, because I thought it was you had to be in at 8:30, but I guess not. You have until 12 noon to, and then I go ahead and take attendance and then submit it. So that's a good thing. So you've got 4 hours. That's not bad. A lot of you have been in New Learning. Thank you very much. I see you guys are working in courses, and the percentages will start moving because I print off that progress report twice a day so that you know. And then, so this take a stand is argument, and argument writing is what they're going to ask you to write in New Learning when they ask you to write the research papers and the essays and different things like that. Saying that propose a solution is take a stand. And so when you propose a solution, again, you have to have both sides of the coin, and you have to present it in a way, your evidence and your facts, so that way it follows the draft of the paper that we've talked about, which is, and I should have it right here, is stages of process-based writing, and it is the 6 traits that you're familiar with now. So that is what we're going to be following for propose a solution and take a stand. It can be anything. It can any type of argument it can be. What I'm going to use is a list, and then I'm using the Foursquare, so you know both sides of the issue, because Foursquare is really easy to go ahead and apply that to argument and put in your notes, so that way if you go to a debate table or anything, if you part of debate, then you know exactly how to have both sides of your argument right in front of you with all the information and paperwork, so that way then you can refer back to it. Because you don't want to read it word for word. You want to really know it. You want to memorize it, understand it, both your claims for both halves. And then I'm going to go to my side of the argument. This is the Foursquare as well. I didn't close it off, but it's similar to this. It's just the middle. And we're going to basically talk about my family doesn't approve of my friend because of his age. So it's male-female relationship type deal. And do the reasons why, the evidence, which is proposing a solution, taking a stand and proposing a solution at the same time. So you're not going to take a stand in this paper and then write a separate paper proposing a solution. You're combining these two together, which the Foursquare really sets it up nicely in each block. And these blocks will be 1 to 3 paragraphs, depending. So say at least you have 4 paragraphs, if not 3, 6, 9, and 12 paragraphs. You could have as much as. So it depends. But you're going to have to go through the revision process like this. You have to do the pre-writing first and then take it right through the stages of writing. Otherwise, you're not going to get a nice solid paper to take a stand and propose your solution at the same time. People will get lost. Then I'm going to go through drafting the paper. Exactly what does that look like? What are the elements of drafting a paper? And I have different examples, but I think I'll run out of time. And if I don't run out of time, I'll pause this and go get my examples so I can read them to you as well. And these are the do's that you want to do in your conclusion, drafting a paper and in your conclusion. And at the very end, I'm going to put up what you don't want to do in your conclusion, okay, so that you have that as well. So let's start at the top. And what voice would you choose? Gilbert Gottfried or Elmo? Silly question. Yes, it is. But if you type in Gilbert Gottfried on YouTube, then there's YouTube videos that you can actually research. And then you all know who Elmo is and how he sounds. And so there's 2 different voices there. Justin Heimberg and David Gomberg's 1997, would you rather? And here's the questions that I like to pose to you because it gets you thinking about take a stand or propose a solution. Which side do I want to state? Am I for it or against whatever we're talking about? And we don't know what we're talking about because it's propose a solution. This is just the general outline of argument. This is the difference between persuasion. You can persuade someone to think, but would you rather be able to pause the world around you or silence it? Would you rather be able to fast forward life or rewind it? Now, both of these, if you would pick one or the other, you would have to do the opposite. So you would have to argue, or you would have to propose a solution to, I would want to fast forward it because, and give the evidence and facts, the reasons why, in a proper body evidence proposition, proposal, opponents, and you have to give both sides for and against in your paper, in the body of your paper. So you have to present it as your opponent. You present it as your proposal, okay? So 3, would you rather live in a world without cell phones at all, or would you rather live in a world without computers? And some of you guys are saying, well, when they wrote this is back in the early 2000s, 2003 that he wrote this book, which I love. But at that time, these smartphones were not developed. So they had there was a flip phone. I should have got one of my flip phones out, showed you. And so when they say cell phones, it was just a regular little flip cell phone. It was not the phones that actually have a computer built in and stuff like we have today. So it's different. So you might want to reword that, but still you get the idea. It's like, or you want to have the old-fashioned phones and have no computer. That's probably how I would change it. 4, would you rather spend a 5-hour car ride with Bill Gates or Taylor Lautner or Kim Kardashian? Which one would you prefer? And you could pick, it doesn't have to be these 3. You could pick any 3 people. So you could compare the 3 people or compare 2 people, and that would be fine as well. Okay. 5, write a quick reflection, 20 seconds. So a quick reflection, it might be 20 to 50 seconds, depends. At 20 or 50 seconds, though, generate opposing stances for each one above. Very quickly, the opposing stances, what comes to mind? What do you have in your head? What have you learned from your research? And what you learned from your research, then you're going to go ahead and put in your opposing stances for each one. And you're going to quickly write them down because they're your thoughts and your ideas. They're your information that you have. So that's important. Okay. So then it goes to generate the opposing stances for each one above quickly. And what do you know? What do you not know? If you can't generate anything or any information, you don't know anything about this information, that means you have to go and teach yourself it. And then you can go ahead and have an argument. You can't just do a new research and have an argument about it. You really have to know it. Just like I said, proofreader's eye, you have to know what's in here. You have to know and be able to explain it. Otherwise, you can't argue it at all. The writing process, you can't jump from here to here. And a lot of you guys try to do that. You do a pre-write, or you do a first draft, and then you try to turn it in, and you go, well, why didn't I get a good grade on it? And we've talked about that before, remember? Well, this is why, because there's elements you're missing. There's steps that you haven't taken, and you haven't done the process of writing, which is the stages of writing. You've missed the sharing the draft. You've missed someone else putting in their 2 cents saying, hey, your words don't sound legit. You have to go and you have to research it. Or you haven't edited your paper. I see lots of errors, or a lot of you guys will turn it in and forget the editing part and then, just take off points. So by the time we're done, you have a D paper or you have an F paper because of all the editing marks that were not done, the punctuation, capitals, or you didn't take time to use the proper word terminology or word structure, which is so important. So the 4-square argument chart is very important. And I use that with all argument papers. I actually had a 4-square, had my students fill it out so that way I could see what are the main points of your argument. And I want all the main points in that first. And what a lot of people have done is they use an entire page for this one, and just go 1, 2, 3, 4. And they label the pages 1, 2, 3, 4 and put them together in a book. And then they can go ahead and see all the evidence and everything they have when their topic is really intense and when they have a lot of evidence and facts that they have to portray or argue with. Because you want to have the facts, you want to have your sources, HTTPS, Google.com, and you want to be able to state it. You want to stage stages of process-based writing. This is education. Was it Education Northwest Education? Yeah. Or when you're, stating grammar caught you again, and you're going to state that source and you're going to write it down. That's so important as well. So then blue, what are the main arguments of your parents and friends? So your parents have arguments and they're objective opinions, correct? And you say, well, wait, opinions aren't allowed in argument. No, they're not. However, you can use them as facts and you can write down what they say. So what are the arguments of your parents? List them. And then, and or arguments of your friends. So you would list both, because the more evidence and facts information that you have for your argument paper, the more solid your argument will be. Okay, if you don't have enough information, it's going to be persuasion, bottom line. And that's why I said everyone knows how to persuade, because you fall back into persuasion and you never argue. So the third box, what are the counter arguments you will hear from your parents or friends? So here are the main arguments. You're going to list them, parents and friends' main arguments. And then here you're going to have another list. You might have two lists in this column, or you have a paragraph here and a paragraph here. And you're going to write the two paragraphs together. What are the counter arguments you will hear from your parents or friends? Okay. And you have to list them, and then you have to cite the sources too. So don't forget the sources in the works cited page, which is so important, that you need as well. What are the counter arguments you would present to your family and friends? Present to your family and friends is different than what you hear. And what you hear are the main arguments of your parents and friends, what they tell you, or what they say, what they believe. Is up in here, and this is what you hear, and what are the main points of your argument is your opinion. What do you believe? What do you know? What have you learned? Okay, and then what are your counter arguments you would present to your family and friends? And that could be quite lengthy. It could be one or two paragraphs. It depends on where you're going with it. You have to know both sides of the issue. That's the thing. You have to know both sides of when this is solid and when this is liquid. You have to know how the mold works, how the mold does not work, and how to get things out of it, right? You have to know both sides or it's not going to work. You might think it will, but it does not. Okay, so my side of the argument, my parents' side of the argument or friend's side, my parents' response would be, my response would be, and this is, my family doesn't approve of my friend because of his age. So you've used that because it's a little bit more easier for you guys to relate to. So my side of the argument is I'm going to say I am trustworthy, we're just friends, age doesn't matter, and there's a whole list of other things that I could put on that side, and I'm sure you could think of a few as well. But that's my side of the argument. My parents' side or my friend's side, friends don't hold hands that way. Oh, there's a certain way when you're boyfriend and girlfriend that you hold hands together. There is more to it than friends. What's more to it than friends? Well, you look at each other, you basically hold hands differently, that if you're in a relationship and if it's serious and if you expect to be with that person forever or for the rest of your life, it's completely different. Friends don't walk you home, and friends don't walk you home at all. They don't walk you home. They don't care. They go, hey, bye, see you later, and off they go. Otherwise, if they walk you home, they make sure you get inside. They care about you. They make sure nothing happens to you, stuff like that. My parents' response would be, doesn't look like your other friends. Parents' response would be, doesn't look like all your other friends. This person really cares about you, and your parents notice it because your parents notice things like that, try to protect you, saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not like your typical friend. Hey, attaboy, how you doing? Friends don't walk you home. Again, parents will say that. Friends don't take you to dances. Friends will buy you things, but maybe not the really nice things that a friend or a boyfriend would actually do. So it's getting to where this person's calling her friend, his or her friend, because of age, but actually there's more to it. It's a boyfriend relationship. It's a deeper relationship than just friendship. So my response would be, just because you're friends with a guy or going out with one doesn't mean you're automatically stupid enough to get pregnant. My response would be, we're both teenagers. We know what we're doing. We're just friends. We're good. That's good. Nothing more than that. Drafting the paper would be effective introduction. Well, remember, effective introduction, you need two elements of an effective introduction completely. So you need a hook to hook people in, and then a thesis statement. You need a thesis statement in order to make it work as well. So body, evidence of the paper, you have evidence, 1 to 2 paragraphs for the evidence, 1 to 2 paragraphs for the proposal that you're writing that has to do with the evidence that you've gathered. So you're taking this information and putting it into the paper. So you're taking your outline from this format and putting it into the paper. Opponents. Opposition is the opposing side. You're for something, and then, which is pro, and then opposing side is the opposite of. So you're doing both sides of it, which is 1 to 2 paragraphs. You do have to have a conclusion, and in your conclusion, you do want to ask a provocative question or leave with an interesting quotation or call for action, we need to do this right now, or loop back to the introduction. You can combine 2 or 3 of these, and you can end with a warning. You can combine 2, 3, or all of these in your paper as you draft it, so as you're writing it. And yes, this paper is going to be 2 to 6 pages long, depending on what you put in your paper, because you have to have your main point of your argument, you have to have your main argument of your parents and friends that we have up here. What are your counter arguments you hear from parents and friends? Parents' response would be, doesn't look like your friends. So you're going to think of, wait, what are they going to ask me? What are they going to counter with? They're going to come after me. They're going to say, hey, this is your argument. But what are they going to say? What is the argument that they have then? Oh, that this person doesn't look like the rest of my friends. So I'm going to do that research so I'm ready for it. I have that argument. We did chewing gum in class, and the counter argument was, I want to chew gum in class, and the counter argument was that chewing gum does not hurt anything. And then somebody else that doesn't want gum in the classroom said, but what about the gum underneath the desk? What about the gum when someone misses the wastebasket and doesn't pick it up? What about the gum and the mess that it brings somewhere else in the classroom? And that's exactly how you counter argue your argument to make sure that you understand the drafting of the paper. So when you're finished, when we get done, your argument is you took a stand and then you proposed a solution to the argument that you are arguing about, okay, which is so important. Okay, so the effective introduction is a hook, thesis statement, you have your evidence laid out, your proposal, your opponents, and then you ask a provocative question, leave with an interesting quotation, call for action, end with a warning, or loop back in your introduction. Here's what you do not want to do. You do not want to, and I see this a lot of times, and this is why I included the don't, because I see this a lot of times when you don't know, if you don't have a provocative question, you don't want to look up a good quote or call for action, you simply restate your thesis. No, that's a down score. That's going to pulls your voice away from what you want, what you first intended to do and to be. And so you don't want to simply just restate it at all. You want to put it loop back to your introduction somehow, but you're not restating your thesis. You're writing it in a new and different way, maybe using a provocative question or using an interesting quotation or a call to action when you do this now. Introduce a brand new idea. Don't ever introduce a brand new idea in your conclusion, because you've already written all the way through. You've already done everything here, your legwork, your evidence, and you have all your facts, you have your sources, your works cited page. If you introduce something in a conclusion that's brand new, then it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about, and then you're wandering and you're going somewhere else, and then you've not followed the process of the writing stages. Okay, focus on a minor point of the essay. Don't focus on a minor point. You are focusing on the major point. You're focusing on your side, parent's response, my response. Boom. And the Foursquare helps you keep that so you stay focused through the whole thing. I usually have this, and I have my outline and my draft like this, and I keep it in front of me. A lot of times I turn it in so my professors or my teachers know this is my thought process, and you always get a higher grade because you're always going for that A. So if they see the thought process and they go, oh, wait, this makes sense. Okay, yeah, this is okay. Use the following phrases in conclusion, in summary, in closing. These are all transitional closings and transitional following phrases that you can use to wrap up your paper. Add extra information that should have been in the body of the essay. So don't ever add extra information unless you've put it in here already. If it's already here, then that's leaving with an interesting quotation, or that's leaving and looping back or calling to action and with a warning because you've already put it in your paper. But to put extra information, just pull it out of the hat, or I'm going to use this source because it was really good, I'm going to throw it in my conclusion. Don't do that. No. Don't do that. Use the following phrases. Go back to that one. In conclusion, summary, or in closing. That's the same as using and or but. And I would not do that in your conclusion. Don't do that because it waters down your voice. And a lot of times you do that. Your voice is very loud when it gets to this point. Instead, you can use a transition word, but you notice it's in. I would not use that at all, those words, because it flattens your voice, and your voice is really loud right here. It's drafting the paper. So let me go get my book because there's some things I wanted to go over with you in it. Okay, I'm back, and I had to get the book because I was going to do another poster of it, and I decided not to. But proposing solutions, the point of the essay is to change things with this in mind. So your proposal is to change how people think, change exactly how you take a stand. Look for ways to practice pre-cycling means buying things which come in packages that can be recycled. So you do things like that to solve the solution. What solution would there be? Maybe the solution of this doesn't improve my friend's age. Maybe sitting down and have your parents and have coffee with everybody, or have a snack, or go to, have a sundae, or go somewhere and have dessert someplace and just actually talk. And when you talk and you present things, then your parents' response might not be like this because they might be more comfortable with your friend, and then you're solving both sides of the equation. That's a possibility. Begin composting. I compost with worms. So because you're learning a lot about me, aren't you? But there's like 50 simple things you can do to save the earth. And is what I'm reading out of Gallagher here too. And when you compost with worms, you feed the worms is what you're doing. And at the top layer is where the worms stay, and then they go down and they go in and they poop in the bottom layer, and then they crawl back up and they eat, and they live in the top layer with the food, and you put the food up there. And then the very bottom layer is there's a little bit of water seeps down, and you take that and you feed your plants and stuff with it, and your plants grow twice as big, which is really great. And I have just a little compost bin, just enough for me and everything, and it eats all my scraps and stuff, so I don't have that many scraps to throw away. And oh my gosh, they'll eat eggshells and lettuce and cabbage, and you can't feed them fruit, you can't feed them they love apples, although apples is the one fruit that they do eat. And so all my apples and my cores and stuff I don't eat, I throw in with my worms, and in 2 or 3 days, it's gone. It's all eaten up. All the extra lettuce that you don't like, that's wilted and everything, because I regrow my lettuce, so the romaine that I buy, I can get another stock out of it. So actually everything that I buy in the store, I get twice the yield or twice the value for it. But the worms are really good at turning over and getting garbage and throwing your garbage away. But saying that, what do I get from it? I get dirt. I get beautiful compost dirt that I put in with my tomatoes, and I've shared some of my pictures of tomatoes and my different plants and stuff like that. And I have just a little garden now in the back because I have just a little porch. But I have blooms. I have strawberries going, and I have onions, and I have tomatoes, and I have herbs going, and I have roses in the front yard, and so I have ginger going. I have all this stuff going. It's just like lettuce is going. So I have like 5 different varieties of lettuce going in a bag right now, and it's about this tall. So I won't have to buy lettuce then for a while, which is great. And it tastes so much better too. It's delicious. My cucumbers didn't make it. They shriveled up, so I don't know what to deal with them. Save water. When you save water, you purposely cut down on water and you don't use as much. That doesn't mean you don't take as many showers. It means like when I first got here, I was watering the lawn all the time because they had an automatic sprinkler. Well, my yard started flooding. I'm like, I don't need that. It's just like, and the neighbors were watering their yard, and their water comes over into my yard. The way this is all set up, I'm like, whoa! So you reduce the water, and also my water bill goes down. Yay! Which is good, saves me money. Hang on tight to balloons. When balloons fly away, they often end up in the ocean, or when people release the balloons, like the thousands of balloons. And a lot of times birds will come and peck at the balloons when they're flying in the air. They get tangled in the balloon and they will suffocate the bird, or the balloon will pop eventually and fall to the ground. And then birds and animals and fish will die from all those balloons because they land wherever, and they will suffocate. They wrap around them, and then they can't, and they actually kill them. So you don't want to release the balloons. That's an argument. And whales have basically been known to eat balloons. So if it makes it to the ocean and the whales get them, they eat the balloons and it kills them. And so they've actually found balloons in the stomach of whales that actually kill them. Use rechargeable batteries. Now I do that every chance I get. And then you have the charger and you stick it in the charger and the batteries. And so you don't have to go out and buy batteries all the time, which is really nice. You just have to keep them charged, which is perfect. And then if you have a mini generator or anything, then you have your little charger that you charge your batteries, so you never have to worry. So if your lights go out, you still have batteries. You have battery power. You have charge. So things like that. So that's an argument. You take for or against. So 5 things you can do to simplify your life is another argument. Drop one commitment. Think about all the things you do in life and you're committed to doing in one day. If you drop one commitment, then you have freed up your time a little bit. Or if you're a spend freak or whatever, and all of a sudden you have, if you're spending things, and all of a sudden you see things on your credit card bill and stuff for and against, well, you can eliminate that and ask your credit card company, hey, how come I have all these charges on here? That's reoccurring charges, and get rid of them. And all of a sudden you're not owing as much on that credit card bill. Move slower, do less, walk slower, shower slower, work slower, be more deliberate so you won't get hurt. That simplifies your life, and you can actually enjoy things as you go instead of like rushing around all the time. And you won't hurt your joints when you get older, and that'll mean a big part when you get older because your joints start breaking down, or it's just hard to move around. Free up your time. Watch less TV. Have you ever promised yourself and then not watch TV for an entire day? I have, and I loved it. I ended up drawing. I ended up doing something very productive, like pouring resin. It's like, yeah, which I love, and it's so relaxing, and it's nice. Clean out a drawer that you throw everything in, clean it out, and that's one way you can simplify your life. And if you don't clean it out, how does that feel? Well, it feels clutter and stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh. And we all need that. We all need to find simple ways. And here's another one, 5 things you can do to promote world peace. Well, you can start with yourself. How can you promote world peace within yourself, especially in this time of isolation? Inform yourself through university talks. Inform yourself by doing research papers. Handwrite a letter. I love handwriting letters, and I usually do that as often as I get to my friends, and they always love to receive them because it's my handwriting. It's not just a text message or anything. It's handwritten. It was thoughtful. I had to take time to write it, which is great. Visit outside the United States. I've not done this. Some people do. Buy nurturing toys for children. I used to do that when my kids were little and they had educational toys and they were more expensive, but they learned from them. And I was grateful and glad that they did. Do your homework before voting. Be sure to judge candidates by their actions, okay, and not just what you see on TV because they will lie to you. They just want you to vote for them. So you have to really do your homework on that. 5 things you can do to get healthy and stay healthy. Eat a healthy breakfast, go out and take a walk. As you get older, your joints hurt and you can turn a twist and you can pull a muscle so easily. It was just like, what? This is my age. Oh my gosh. Or like this morning, I actually cut my finger on an eggshell and then no eggshells could be that hard. And it really just sliced my finger. And I'm like, oh, what a freaky accident. And drink lots of water. And saying that, wear your mask when you go out, stay healthy as well. My time is up. It's up already. So that is my side of the argument. And I'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m., 8 to 12, and for attendance. And then you'll see my video again tomorrow, and we'll move forward. It's good seeing you guys. We're getting back to normal little by little, and keep up the great work, all right? Pass the word to everybody. Get in new learning, and you guys do the courses, but you have to be in Google Classroom and get those done too. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.